She was a nurse, not just a nurse in uniform, but a woman whose entire being was devoted to her work. Her name was Mary. Every morning, she stepped through the hospital doors with a quiet strength that few noticed, but everyone felt. She carried herself with dignity, with compassion, with the steady patience of someone who knew that every small act of kindness could ease someone else's pain. Mary was a black woman in a world that did not always welcome her. She had studied hard, spent long nights in the library, sacrificed sleep, family gatherings, and even her own health, all for one purpose: to heal. To her, nursing was never just a paycheck. It was her calling. She often told herself, "If I can ease even one person's suffering today, then my day has meaning." Most patients adored her. They smiled when she entered their rooms, comforted by her gentle presence. They trusted her hands, her voice, her calm reassurance, and Mary believed that love for humanity was what made her profession noble. But one afternoon, everything she believed in was tested. Mary entered the room of a new patient, an older white man named Richard. His face looked tired, worn by years of life, his body weakened by illness. She carried a small tray with his medication and a syringe. Smiling softly, she said, "Good afternoon, Mr. Richard. It's time for your injection. This will help you feel better." Richard turned his head slowly, his eyes narrowing as he looked at her. His voice was sharp, filled with an edge she had not expected. "Number, I don't want you touching me?" Mary blinked, surprised. She thought perhaps he was simply afraid of needles, as many patients were. She tried again, her tone patient and kind. "Sir, there's no need to worry. I've been doing this for many years. I'll be gentle, I promise." But Richard shook his head, his lips pressed tightly together. His words came out cold, cutting through the room like ice. "I said no. I don't want a black nurse giving me anything. Get out." Mary's breath caught in her chest. The words pierced deeper than any knife. For a moment she stood frozen, unable to believe that in this place of healing, where life and death were balanced so delicately, hatred could still take space. Her heart ached, but she kept her composure. Her voice trembled, but she spoke softly. "Mr. Richard, my only duty is to protect your health. I swore an oath to care for all patients. Please let me help you." But his eyes were hard, unyielding. "I don't care. I don't want you near me. Get someone else." Mary lowered her gaze. She could feel the sting of tears threatening to spill, but she refused to let him see her cry. Quietly, she placed the tray back and whispered, "All right, sir. I'll step out." She walked out into the hallway, her body trembling. The moment the door closed behind her, the tears she held back came rushing out. She leaned against the wall, covering her face with her hands. She thought of the years of sacrifice, the nights she stayed awake studying, the countless patients she had helped, the lives she had saved. None of it mattered to this man. In his eyes, she was not a nurse, not a professional, not even a human being worth trusting. She was only her skin color. The pain was sharp, humiliating, but Mary reminded herself, "I am a nurse. I will not let hate change who I am." She wiped her eyes, straightened her shoulders, and continued her rounds, carrying her pain quietly inside. Hours passed. The hospital grew quieter as night settled in. The fluorescent lights flickered softly, machines beeped in steady rhythm, and the air carried the faint scent of antiseptic. Mary moved from room to room, adjusting IV lines, whispering gentle words of comfort, tucking blankets around frail bodies. Then suddenly, chaos broke the calm. Alarms blared from Richard's room. The monitor screamed with urgency. His blood pressure was plummeting, his breathing shallow, his body trembling in distress. Nurses rushed toward the sound, but Mary was the closest. Her heart raced as she burst into the room. She saw Richard lying there, his lips pale, gasping for air, life slipping away from him with every second. She froze for the briefest of moments. This was the man who had rejected her, the man who told her she was not worthy of saving him. The pain of his words still echoed in her heart, but then she remembered her oath, her purpose. When a life is in danger, nothing else matters. Her hesitation vanished. Mary sprang into action. She grabbed the oxygen mask, secured it over his face, her hand steady, though her chest was tight. She prepared the syringe quickly, expertly, and injected the life-saving medicine. Her voice was firm yet gentle, cutting through the panic. "Stay with me, Mr. Richard. Breathe. You're going to be all right." Seconds felt like hours. She monitored his pulse, her eyes fixed on the numbers on the screen, silently praying, "Please, hold on. Please don't let go." Slowly, the numbers stabilized. His breathing grew deeper, his heartbeat stronger. Color returned to his cheeks, and then, at last, his eyes fluttered open. He looked at her with shock and disbelief. His voice was weak, a mere whisper. You saved me?" Mary's eyes glistened, but her smile was calm. "Yes, Mr. Richard, I'm your nurse, and when a life is in danger, nothing else matters. Not color, not hate, only care." For a long moment, Richard stared at her, his lips trembling. His eyes, once filled with prejudice, now softened. Tears welled in them, sliding down his cheeks. His frail hand lifted slowly and reached for hers. Mary hesitated, then let him take it. His grip was weak, trembling, but sincere. In that touch there was no black, no white, no prejudice, no rejection, only gratitude, only humanity. The room was silent, but in that silence something shifted. Walls built from hatred began to crumble. In the days that followed, Richard was no longer the same. Each time Mary entered his room, he no longer turned away. Instead, he watched her with quiet respect. Sometimes, when she adjusted his IV or gave him medicine, he would whisper softly, "Thank you for what you did that night." Mary never asked for an apology. She never demanded recognition. She continued her work as she always had, calm, steady, devoted. But inside she carried a truth that strengthened her. Even in the face of rejection, her compassion had spoken louder. She thought often about that night. The sting of his words would never fully leave her memory, but neither would the moment he reached for her hand. Sometimes the very hands we reject are the hands destined to save us.